Right then, welcome back to the channel. My name's Stephen Howson, and this is 5 things that we've learned from the season so far. Now, it's been an absolute mixed bag, probably with more negatives than positives, certainly more injuries than positives. But we've learned a lot in this short amount of time for this season, and we've learned a lot, but we've also got so much we need to know about. So, let's have a look at them. Number one, it's been a rocky start for United. It's not been good. Let's get that said straight away. I think there's been reasons for that. But, there's the typical records getting flung around by journalists. It's the worst start since we drove on the left-hand side of the road. It's, the first time in whatever years a United team that's wore this away kit 4 times has lost, whatever. Like, where do some of these records come from? I have no idea. It feeds into the constant negative energy that is around United. Like in recent weeks, the spectacular last-minute victory that we managed to get at home just before the international break was criticised by the likes of TalkSport because we celebrated it. Meanwhile, you had Arsenal literally having a pitch invasion after a win last season, which ultimately resulted in nothing for them. And I don't remember the same sort of energy about that. We've been knocked off track so many times with so many different factors, including the drama that has surrounded Mason Greenwood, Jadon Sancho and Anthony. This club feels like it's hounded with scrutiny for every single decision it makes on and off the pitch. The ownership saga never goes away. The criticism and standards that our players are held to versus others is draining. I was so thankful for that Brentford result. And even the result that we saw this weekend against Sheffield United, they're not good performances, certainly less than desirable performances. But it did seem to just sort of let you breathe and move on to the next result. We need that. And we're just about to hit this run of games where we have big Champions League games, big domestic games, and you're gonna roll through quite a lot of these now before the next international break. Number 2, the midfield issue. From a tactical point of view, Manchester United have felt really, really disjointed at key moments in this season. And I think the first thing that a club's coaching staff have to do when a team isn't clicking is find the source of that problem. And I think one of the ways you identify what's going wrong with the club, or any team actually, if you're conceding loads of goals, you have to stop conceding loads of goals. And for me, United are conceding far too many goals. And the instinct is to immediately point at the players playing in defence or the goalkeeper. And I don't necessarily think that is the case. Manchester United are allowing far too many shots on goal. When you look at how many shots on target or shots on goal Manchester United have had versus, say, Arsenal, you'll understand why they're in the position that they're in the league and we're in the position that we're in the league. The goalkeepers are saving a similar amount of shots, but the amount of shots that are being pinged at Onana versus the Arsenal pair is completely different. And defending is a team sport for me. Defending is something that starts from the front. It's definitely impacted by midfield. And then obviously you've got your defenders and goalkeeper, which are responsible for the 1v1 stuff. But defending also starts with possession. If you are smashing the ball long, not able to hold it up, the ball just comes straight back. If you're not able to dominate the ball in midfield, you leave yourself vulnerable to being attacked all the time. And I think a massive reason for why United have looked so off it this season is one of the reasons we looked so good last season. The run that we went on was underpinned by Casemiro putting in 8s and 9s every week and Christian Eriksen rolling back the ears and us going, oh my God, how do we get him on a free? And that hasn't been the case this year. Signing Mount turned a lot of heads. You've had an injury to Kobbie Mainoo, who's shown some promise, but was obviously far from a finished product. You've had Casemiro just not show up this season whatsoever. You've had Amrabat not really played very much in central midfield. McTominay's contributed a couple of goals, but earlier in the season when he was fielded, he was dreadful. I think it would be unfair to write this midfield off entirely, but we need to sort of see, how does this midfield work? What's Erik ten Hag's plans? Who are the first choice players? Does he have a first choice home team? Does he have a first choice away team? And can we start to see us progress that and grind out results? Early in the season, it was Mount, Bruno, Casemiro, didn't work. I think it'd be unfair to write off 3 excellent players this early, but we didn't really see that midfield take control of games. You know, you've got energy, you've got quality there, but there was no understanding of their roles, and certainly Mason Mount didn't look like he knew what he was meant to be playing in terms of position. Latterly, you've seen Amrabat come in. Recently, you've seen McTominay featured in there. You're going to see Kobe Mainoo feature in there, I'm sure. And then Casemiro will be back and Eriksen will be involved. And you might even see Donny van de Beek. Who knows? Probably not. You might even see Dan Gore. There's very few teams in the Premier League that have a midfield on paper that has got the talent that Manchester United has got. But football isn't played on paper, and what we see on the grass is bottom half Premier League level. That Sheffield United game in particular, where I saw Scott McTominay in like the first half had 6 passes. It's just not acceptable. You know, not to single Scott out because, you know, Casemiro shit the bed. Mount hasn't lived up to expectations. Amrabat hasn't quite hit the ground running, nor has he had a consistent position yet. But we are going to start dropping more points if we don't start controlling midfield where we do have the talent. We just don't seem to have the plan with it just yet. No, you couldn't even really pick any of our midfielders out purely individually and go, wow, he's really shitting the bed, because collectively they kind of all are. They're not providing a screen for the defence, and they're certainly not providing enough for our forwards, especially Højlund. Little bit of an announcement then for you guys. TenTrade and my channel are going to be working together. You might have already seen them working with the football team. That was a vote that was passed by all the members. And if you think I've lost the plot, why am I working with a trading company? Well, I'll tell you why. Because I like what they're about. And it's about education, finance, and all that sort of stuff we don't know enough about. And I think that there's a massive lack of education, and I think that allows some people to take advantage at times. So I'm all about educating people. I'm all about people finding their own way, and TenTrade have got the ability to do that. They've got something called Ten Academy. They've laid everything out. It's the basics to the nitty-gritty details. They've got courses, expert sessions, guides, you name it, they've got it. Whether you're just peeking around the door or whether you really want to dive into the deep waters and figure trading out, there's definitely something for everybody. If you're interested, then check the link out below and start a bit of an educational journey today. Number 3, the teams around us are improving. And this is a problem because this is what makes United start as noticeable. Because there's been a bit of an improvement across the board. There's teams around us that the top 8 places are going to be a problem. Now, luckily, Brighton have dropped a significant number of points. I can't believe we were saying this, but because Brighton looked like they could have been a threat to us. Spurs, out of nowhere, are looking sensationally good at the moment. We knew Liverpool wouldn't be as bad. We did say that they finished really strong last year, that we knew Liverpool would be back in the mix. Of course, Manchester City are the favourites. But then you've got the likes of Villa and Newcastle, whose recent success has actually started to put them in a bit of a place where they might feel like they can go toe-to-toe with Manchester United. And they might be right. You've even got West Ham that are occupying a place a lot higher than they really probably should do. All these teams have got extremely different challenges for us if we play them 1v1. But while Manchester United are stuttering, dropping points against teams that we're not meant to, not winning our home games the way we're meant to, some of these teams are just ploughing ahead. A lot of them don't have Europe as well. That's going to distract them. They're picking up points, and they're all capable of taking points directly off Manchester United, and that is a problem. 4, injuries. Now, I've left this down at number 4 because I don't want to talk about this being like a major excuse, but it's valid. You saw the result and the impact of not having Rodri on Manchester City, and United have arguably got our entire first choice defence not playing. We must have the busiest or worst physio in the world, because it feels like every single one of our players has been injured this season. There was even a bit of a scare with Onana in the Sheffield United game. But we've seen loads of our important players injured so far. Martinez, Shaw, Varane, Wan-Bissaka, Højlund, Reguilon. And that's even the ones that we know about. We don't know if Bruno or Rashford or somebody else is carrying something that they've just not been able to take the week off because they've been required to play because of the injuries elsewhere. But they're either missing currently or they've missed significant portions of the action. And these, for me, have completely derailed our season. I'm sure Erik ten Hag wanted to be playing a better brand of football. I'm sure Erik ten Hag wanted to build on the things that we saw last season, and it hasn't happened. When you try to drill into why it hasn't happened, did Erik ten Hag just decide to not fucking bother this year? Did the players just decide to toss it off? Being real with yourself, is that likely? Or are we dealing with the fact that our better players, certainly those in defence, aren't available because they're injured? Now, you can look into the reasons for that. You can look at the run last year, the amount of games that were played, plus the World Cup, plus the ridiculous pre-season. And people are like, it's nearly November. Are you still talking about pre-season? I'm still talking about pre-season. If you don't like it, fucking leave, right? I still think it's valid. We're still seeing players that are injured, probably because of what they did in pre-season. So I'm still going to talk about it until they're all back. Is that right? At the end of the day, the football has to be better, and United needs to be more prepared for occurrences like this. No one's ever gone through a Premier League season without a single injury, as far as I'm aware. So you have to prepare for it and somehow plan for it. Number 5, there is an opportunity. I think the biggest takeaway that United have got at the moment is we've been shy in recent weeks and we've picked up results. When you look at the table, if United are capable of doing the impossible and getting a result against Manchester City, which we've done at home before, then I think there's a chance that the season can be ignited from then. Now, I'm not confident of that. And I really think United are going to have to learn to play off the back foot to be able to achieve that. But if we can come through this, start to get some of those players back, understand why we've been poor, and start putting it back. We've seen it countless times over the last few seasons. When things aren't going right for them, they suddenly catch fire. They go on this mad run, putting 10, 12 games of almost flawless wins. And United managed to do that at times last season as well. Now, we're not good enough to compete for the title, and I don't think we're quite in the same sort of stratosphere as some of the teams at the top of the league. And obviously the quality that City have got being the end goal of where we want to be, we're nowhere near that. But we've shown ourselves what we could do last season. And I think with the players that we've recruited, we are better equipped. We didn't have a striker last season. Now we've got a great one. And he's still learning his trade in the Premier League, but the potential with the little fucker is there. So let's end on a high. There is an opportunity here. We start getting the players back. You get behind the gaffer. You trust in the lads. Hopefully this ownership situation gets sorted soon. The toxicity can fuck off and we can start winning some football matches as a club again and start that progression which has stalled in what seems like the last 6 months. Let me know your thoughts as always in the comments and I'll see you in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.